Namaskar, good
Namaskar.
morning and good evening to all our viewers of Global Governance News. As we all know, uh, what happened 32 years ago. And now that thing has been told to the people, and not only in the Bharat, but around the globe. It is very, very interesting. Means this size of genocide happened, and nobody knew within the own nation. People became refugee within their own country. We are all concerned carrying the flag, showing our support, solidarity for a nation where it's happening in Ukraine. But nobody came to show the solidarity with our Kashmiri Hindu brothers and sisters. January 19th, 1990. Things did start before, but there was nobody to see. When we talk about it's a complete failure of the central government at that very time, state government, we talk judiciary failed, administration did fail, and law enforcement did fail, and media failed. And who were the sufferers? Who were the victims? And when they started talking about themselves, somebody took this initiative and had the courage to talk about them. That is Pallavi Joshi and Vivek Agnihotri. Their journey started from United States of America. When they were visiting, they met a lot of Kashmiri Hindu families, and they talked about why don't you make it. So this is called a files, Kashmiri Files. This is not a film that you just go, because Indian film industry is one of the largest, much more bigger than the Hollywood industry. But this is the story what they have narrated. But how can that be that more than 500,000 plus people flee? But you cannot cover that within 2.5 hours. So when we talk, so we have taken a pledge. They always say, because I say I was very young at that time, I didn't have the microphone. So I couldn't do anything, but I do have a power today. So I have taken a pledge to talk about the people, and I would like the world to listen to them, because and to pick and choose your real heroes. Indeed, an honor and pleasure. And I really want to say thank you to each and every one, my Kashmiri Hindu brothers and sisters, those who are giving me their precious time. I know, means we can just do the healing, but I really want people to see what you have gone through, people to listen what you have gone through. Sachin Koul, all the way from Washington, D.C. area, who was 12 years old when that happened. After that, his journey. Let's hear from Sachin himself. Sachin, welcome to my show of Global Governance News. I would like people to
Thank
listen.
you very
I
much.
would like people to share this. I would like people just do maximum. It is not for me. It is so that we don't have any future India files. We don't have any future Kerala fights, because at that time we were helpless, but now we are not. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I will start with I watched Kashmir Files, and on December 3rd, when Pallavi and Vivek were here in the premiere, and I just everybody asks, how is this movie Kashmir Files? That is a question that everybody asks. I would like to share one little detail that I want everybody to know. So before this movie started, how this movie started is it is not just a
Sachin, I
picture.
would like you to just little bit on the frame and this side of it so we
Oh,
can
okay.
centrally
Sorry.
locate it.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I
So,
really appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Vivekji and Pallaviji, they took testimonials from over 700 Kashmiri Hindus who were the victims of the first generation victims of this genocide. Now, I was very unfortunate to be a victim of this genocide, but at the same time, I was very fortunate that I was able to give my testimony to them. So, Vivekji and Pallaviji, they came to my office in Baltimore in the winter or early 2019, end of 2019 or 2020 beginning, and they came to my office in my conference room. We set up the meeting, and Pallavi stood right across from me, and Vivek stood right by my left. I couldn't see him, so I was having eye contact with Pallavi, and She started asking me questions, and I started narrating my horror stories and some amazing memories from the valley. Um, Vivekji didn't say a single word. Vivekji didn't even hear me. What he was doing is he was absorbing every single detail, every single story, every single incident in a manner that I have never felt before. I didn't have eye contact with him, but the connection was so strong that I felt liberated. I felt this heaviness that I have in my heart, that what happened to us, nobody knows and nobody listens and they don't understand it. He was understanding it. I couldn't see him. He probably was looking at me. I was not looking at him. But this energy was so strong, and I wanted to say every single detail that I have experienced in my life as a little kid. And that is that those testimonies. Now remember, there are 700 testimonies. I was one of them. He has absorbed 700 people's sufferings, their grievances, and their horror stories. And what you see in the movie is literally the depiction of that entire thing. That is where the power and the impact in this movie comes from. He is living and carrying the 700 victims in him. That is how much power this movie has brought. That is why everybody is talking about it, because it is really a reality on screen. When you watch it, you feel a part of it. You don't just feel you're seeing what happened, you feel like it's happening right now. So that is what the movie is all about. It is a living tribute to what has happened and how we have let it happen. So that being said, I mean, the story narrates everything. What happened to Kashmiris in, Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir, and how it didn't happen overnight. Although there was 2 days when mass genocide happened, but this was happening. This was cooking for a long time. It's not like one day we decided that okay, this is enough and we're going to leave. We were victims since 1986. That's when it happened in Anantnag, where my mama ji, my nani, my nana, and all they lived, and they escaped death very closely. And then when it happened again in 1989, they didn't even wait a day. They said, we survived last time, nobody's going to come and help us, so we better leave. So so that is obviously, I mean, I have narrated my story multiple times. I have narrated my story at the Capitol Hill. We had congressmen and a lot of dignitaries who came to listen to that, and so it's narrated in the movie. What I really want to say a few things. We have all heard about the atrocities that happened to us, but I today I want to focus on one thing, which is that after abrogation of 300, Article 370, we who nobody was here, nobody, it was all gone. I mean, it was under the rug. We had forgotten about it. Everyone had forgotten about it. We were just living, and we thought it's never going to come out. We will never get justice. But when the abrogation of 370 happened, we saw a ray of light. Every Kashmiri Hindu was so passionate. We were outside the Capitol Hill, we were outside DC, in Jammu, in Delhi, in Australia, in Canada, in Saudi Arabia, Singapore, everywhere we came out, and we said, because we inside our hearts, we felt this is the ray of light. This is the beginning of justice for us. So we all went out, and every single week or every single month we did support the abrogation of 370, and we demanded that this is the beginning of our rehabilitation, putting us back in our homes. So that unfortunately has not happened still, which we are still waiting for. So what I really want to say is that we all have seen most of us have seen the movie, and a lot of more. I think it's unstoppable. Everybody wants to watch this movie. We I think it is really, really high time that our government, our own government, identifies this unfortunate episode that happened with Hindus as a genocide. Now, a lot of people say, hey, what's the big deal? Why do you want it to be called a genocide? What does it accomplish? You guys got killed, you got thrown out of your homes were burned, and your own neighbors did it, your own people did it, but it's over. Now, let's see how we can get you back. The problem is that it is not going to happen unless we name it a genocide. If someone dies, if someone dies and you give him a death certificate and say it was a natural death, the case is closed. You bury him or you cremate him based on their religious beliefs, and it's over. We pray for the peace of their soul. But if you call it a murder, then we still bury or cremate them, but there is a beginning of an investigation. There is beginning of justice. The criminals are brought to the court. They are served sentences so that that thing never gets repeated. That is how we will get justice. If we are only called migrants in our state subjects, we are still called migrants. There was no global warming because of which we left Kashmir. That's what causes migration in humans. We were not birds or cattle that migrated in summer and winter. So why are we called migrants? It was a genocide. In the United Nations, they have they have a committee called Genocide Prevention Committee. In 1948, they had listed 5 acts. Those 5 acts, if any of those 5 acts was done on any religious, ethnic, national group with an intent of killing that group or destroying that group, the intent was absolutely here. And out of those 5 acts that UN, anybody can go and check UN website, it's not me, UN website, you go, you check the genocide definition, and it will clearly tell you what 5 acts, any one of those 5 acts, if it has happened to your community has gone through genocide. We we fall in 3 of those categories out of 5. One qualifies you for a genocide. We have 3 of them, which is depicted in the movie, which is depicted in the testimonials from the first generation victims. But yet, our own government hasn't even acknowledged us as, the victims of a genocide. I think the first beginning for anything, if anyone is here to help Kashmiri community, Kashmiri Hindus to go back to their hometown, that the only way is to first of all identify our disease. We are treating for blood pressure when someone has diabetes, they will never get well. It is not going to be possible unless we change our name from migrants to victims of genocide. So my humble request to everybody is, we are working on a petition. I want everyone to go and actually look at this petition for themselves. Go to the UN's website, which says genocide definition, and decide from your own readings, from your own point of view, and from the movie and from the testimonials that you see, and choose to do this for the community, because that's the only way we can get justice. Not only is our government bound to give us justice, they are not only bound to take us back to our homeland. If they fail, the international committee, the United Nations, it is their job to help the state to take us back. So that is how Jewish people got their justice. So we really, really deserve that, and it should happen.
As Thank you for putting this perspective, because what next that we have to, because it should not be that people watch the film, get emotional, cry, and then go back. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, so right to justice, that
Right to
is
justice.
right to
Absolutely.
justice,
That
right?
that's
That
that
is
is
the key.
exactly what you just said is exactly what happened. We were all excited, pumped up, and we were out there trying to get justice after the abrogation of 370. Everything moved on, and everything is back to, we were back. And now again, the movie comes. We're again active. We want to show that, hey, this is what happened. Why is nobody helping us out? Why is nothing happening again? So that is exactly what is the next step, and that's how it should happen.
Sachin, when we talk about your journey, because 10 to 12 years of age is not that small that you don't have the memories of that, I would like your first hand. What do you recall from that particular month, week, days, like, means what
So
you thought?
one incident I will tell you, which always terrifies me, is we there are many incidents, but I'll just share one with you. A couple of the incidents are actually in the movie that I narrated, but I will tell you one of the incidents which happened is we were all sitting in our living room, and I mean, my parents and my uncle, there, it was our neighborhood had my uncles and us and everybody, and we kids were playing outside, and we normally would hear the azan in the evening, because there was one mosque right by our house and one mosque a little bit further away. But the we started hearing azan, and it was not just azan, which normally used to be, regular azan. At this time, it was a lot more. It was it was disturbing. I mean, it was um, Relu Chelu Galu. I know everybody in India, most of the world knows now what it means. And Batal San, Batnil Sant, I guess Kashmir, Batnil Sant, Batawara means we want Kashmir without Hindu Pandits, but with their women. So, and then, I mean, it was loud. It was being repeated again and again and again and again. So I came inside, and I noticed that all these folks, my uncles and all the neighbors who normally would, sit for tea or something and then they would go home, but they are sitting together and they're extremely, um, they're very sad. You could tell from their face
Disturbed,
that they are
basically, they're very
disturbed, and
disturbed.
they're scared, and they
Mhm,
don't want to talk. So my mom hugged me, and these people are together and they're thinking what to do. And
mhm.
uh, so my oldest uncle Tarsab, he said, "Well, this is just temporary. It's all going to go away. It's
It will
just
be over.
for
It
the
will be over.
moment. Everything is heated up right now. It will be over. Just let's relax, but let's be cautious, and we'll be okay." So the night passed. Next day we woke up, and we were very apprehensive. The next day we were scared, and we were told at home, don't mess with anybody. Just walk with your eyes down. Don't look at anyone. Don't get into anything. Just go to your school and come back. Or so something like that. I don't think there was school. It was just when you go out and play. So so next day, what happened is uh, there was a mob of hundreds of thousands of people who came marching, and these were not terrorists. These were common people. They were people from Shopian.
They
Some of
were your neighbors, they were your friends, they were like
teachers,
your
neighbors,
teammates, your
friends.
batchmates. Yeah,
Some of them even worked
were co-workers.
my
Yeah.
yeah for my granddad. And so these guys came, and they are shouting slogans. They are really mad, and uh, they're there's again the same slogans which we have heard over and over again, and they are shouting these slogans. And so my mom held me. He was like, it felt like something is going to happen this time. They wanted to burn homes with Kashmiri Pandits in them. And then so they are marching down, and then we didn't know what, there was nothing we could do. All the cars which we could take and run away were in the city, and we were a little like maybe 2 kilometers, around a mile away from the city. And so we're in our homes, there's nothing we can do, and there's a group of thousands of people coming marching towards us. And then there was a CRPF Jawans. They were posted near a place called Nerd Kadal,
Mhm.
and they stopped these folks. And they obviously, they were common people. They didn't have guns or anything. So they stopped these people, and then they went back and they burned down two buildings right behind them. One was a girls government girls school, and other was government husband, some kind of office. It was a government office which they burned down. And then obviously immediately we knew this is not a safe place to be. So a lot of people packed and a lot of people left, because the next thing was that they have given us a warning that you guys better leave or we're going to burn you in your own homes. If CRPF is not always going to be there to protect you. So that was very clear. So a lot of Kashmiris started leaving. I think immediately after that episode, me, my cousins, my cousin sisters, and everybody left. And then there were a lot of businessmen. Even my uncle, they stayed, because if you have a business, you can't just leave.
Of
You
course,
can't grab
wrapping up.
everything
Yeah.
in overnight and leave. So then what the second step was, they knew now the people who had to get scared and leave, they left. Now what are we going to do next? So they went to this Kashmiri Hindu named Rajendra Tikku. He was in shop, he had a shop in shop, and they went to his shop, point blank, 3 bullets, and killed him on spot. And then he was with another a friend of his who also has a shop there. Who owned a shop right next to him. And he said, "Well, if you guys don't pack and leave, this is you next." His name was his last name is Kokru. We call him Baya Kokru. I forgot I don't know what the actual real name is, but Kokru was his last name. So so after that,
The signal was very clear
it
because
was
they are,
very
yeah,
clear. Hey, we are going to warn you. We're going to come and tell you that we're going to burn you down in your own homes if you don't listen to us. Next thing is we're going to kill you in your shops, and then you will. And and that was it. After that second killing, everybody left, because you are not going to wait till they kill you.
absolutely.
So that was something, half of which I had seen. I did not see the killing at that time. I was already in Jammu, and then the other folks left. And in school, in as kids, we have seen. I mean, I used to study in Sainik School, Manasbal, and during our national day, we were given accolades, and certificates of merit from. And that year, Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah had come to our school. So it's definitely, if we look up, we will get the stories really good. So Farooq Abdullah had come to our school, and then the certificates were given to all the kids who had done well and whatnot. And then I was in the beginning, because I got something too. So in the front rows, all these kids got up and they said, "We need a mosque." I said, "Get masjid." I said, "Get masjid." I said, "Get masjid" means we need a mosque. So I'm sitting there,
And
and
that
yeah,
that scene is also been
it's
there.
in the,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So they grabbed my hand, and they told me, one, shout with
You
us.
you
I
you
get
scream.
mashid, I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
mashid. And I'm like, I don't need mechan zorat mashid. I don't need mashid. I go to mandir, because
Hmm.
मेरे को मस्जिद का क्या करना है. So they're like, "No, just say it." So they punched me in the tummy, and I fell down, and I got up, and I'm still thinking, should I say? I said, "Well, they're going to punch me again. I better say." So I started shouting, "Maggots, Mashid, Maggots. I need a mosque." And then after that, became the whole event became so out of control. The chief minister had to be escorted out of the school. Remember, this school had only students from sixth grade to 12th grade.
Hmm.
So he had to be escorted out of the school, the chief minister of Jammu and Kashmir.
Hmm.
And then they send a battalion, 2 trucks full of CRPF Jawans with lathis, and there was lathi charge after that. And I actually lost one of my buttons because I was still with them. I couldn't leave because I had to sleep in the same dorm with them. So if I was not with them, either I was going to get beaten here or I was going to get beaten in the dorm. So I thought this would be much easier because I'm running away. And in the night, if I'm not part of them in what they want, it is going to be really, really sad and bitter for me. So that was our plight. We faced uh, humiliation and
Bullying.
bullying every single day of our life. If India lost a game of cricket, we were the ones who were getting stones.
Hmm.
And it was like this. It was not. And then what happened with us? you
I
know.
think if India wins the cricket game, then you guys were
Yeah,
bullied.
if India wins the cricket game. Yeah, if
Yeah,
India, I mean, I meant if Pakistan lost the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was all along. That's what we.
What about the family situation? Your father worked for the government there. Then what happened to his job and stuff like that? Then he had to, because all the way acclimatization, they always say like from high altitude coming to Jammu, when so many people suffered and so much mental trauma, like you
So
means, yeah.
exactly, that is the second point of this definition of genocide is mental and bodily
Mhm,
dysfunction is
mhm,
something that qualifies one to
mhm,
be called a genocide, and that's exactly what happened
mhm,
when we moved to Jammu.
mhm,
We majority of people had absolutely no clue about heat. We
mhm,
just walked normally, and
mhm,
second thing you know, people died of sunstroke.
uh-huh, mhm.
They didn't know how to protect themselves from the sun. They lived in tents and they would walk. I mean, like we walked in Kashmir, there was no umbrella needed, there was no heat or anything. And so they walked normally and they died. A lot of people died because of sunstroke. A lot of people died because of snake bites.
Mhm,
Because snakes, there were no snakes in Kashmir.
mhm.
And there were countless snakes in Jammu and people died. So we suffered um, in Kashmir, we suffered in Jammu in the beginning. Now, and I want to say one thing which I really think everybody should know is every Kashmiri Hindu, whether it's me or anyone else in the world, who were the first generation victims, even though I was young, but obviously I witnessed it and I remember it when I went for my studies to Bombay or I went to Canada, whenever there was Diwali or there was any function, everyone from my class they would say, "Bhai, hum apne gaon ja rahe hain. We're going to our village.
Hi,
Right?
where will I go?
हम अपने गांव जा रहे हैं हम अपने घर जा रहे हैं." There was not a single time till this date when I go back, even from here when I have to go, I never say I'm going home. I always say I'm going to Jammu. When I used to go from Bombay to that place, I never ever said I'm going home. I always said I'm going to Jammu. And I had to process this in my brain because I was actually going to meet where my home is, but I know it's not my home. It's Jammu. It's not, it will never be my home. And trust me, that abrogation of Article 370 gave some hope to our parents. Like my parents, they have suffered a lot. I mean, there are stories which they have not mine alone, everyone, and they have this huge desire to go back to their homeland one day. When if we have had a loss in our family. There are other people who had losses in their families when we lose loved ones. When we lose loved ones, there is a closure. We know it happened. It will never come back. But the void is always there. The grief is always there for the rest of your life. But there is closure that this person is gone. We have to live with the memories of this person. There is nothing that can happen.
No, but somebody,
This
those who have gone on a natural way, that is a different thing because the person who came to this earth has to leave the earth. But what happened to the Kashmiri Hindus, that is not natural.
not justified.
That is, and so many people are still missing. There is no number. I was listening to someone, they said, like, she had her cousin, we don't even know where she is because there is
Right,
no
right,
record, there is no
right.
FIR, to be honest. Like, because if things happen, like today, someone, we are living here or anywhere in the world, like something happens to someone, I hit you and all, at least you will call the police and make a complaint of it. But there was no complaint. So there is no register which has been already registered. That's what,
Exactly.
yeah.
I mean, I will tell you something. In 1986, this is something that my Mama Ji explained to me. Before the interview, I asked him, before I went to interview with Vivek Ji and Pallavi Ji, I knew what they went through. So I wanted to know about their story as well. In 86, it was not just the public, it was the police that was with them. So it has been unbelievable. But when I was talking about the
But
void,
that itself is the means, if you see that the responsibility of the administration from the higher authorities, because if you have police and they have like a guns or even the lathi, because if I have done something wrong, to be honest, I will be afraid of the policeman that I did something wrong. If I haven't done anything wrong, I'll not be afraid. But
would
even then, they are doing something wrong, but they were not afraid.
They will
because
not.
and on the other counter, because police were, even we see that very recently before 2014, like because the army people, the officers in the uniform who were laying their life for us, like they've been stone pelting on them, and then we're talking about, like you cannot do anything to them, you cannot use bullets on them, and there are still army officers, those who are still not got, like they're still waiting for the justice, to be honest, which is very, very sad. I mean,
And the generation, the our parents, they still are in a hope that one day we will go back,
hum
and that
dekhenge.
hum
That's what,
dekhenge.
yeah, because I took this line from Pallavi's this thing. I said, hum dekhenge. Now it is for us, we all, that it is not, I always started calling myself, I'm a Kashmiri Hindu. Like, I will make sure that this happens within our lifetime. Like, we all go collectively, we all go together, because I am an immigrant in this country. I came with my choice, but your
Right,
parents were not immigrant, they were
exactly.
forced. That's
We were
what, that is
forced.
the difference the world has to see. Because
Exactly, exactly.
that is the
I
difference,
mean,
because I come from New Delhi, and I have seen how the people all the way from Kashmir, they got the little lakdi ka khokha, and they're living there, you can very well imagine. And then we used to feel, I'm just sharing this on this platform, there used to be people, those who are coming selling like a dry fruits and selling those shawls and stuff like that. And then we were innocent, we were naive, we used to buy. So then somebody just, I said, Mummy, we should ask their name. They were not all Hindu names, those who were coming and selling,
yeah,
because we have apathy. Okay, this way we are trying to help our Hindu brothers and sisters, but that was other way
that
wrong.
was
They
not,
were
that was not the.
coming and doing business also, means that has also happened. People have to know, because nobody talked about it, nobody did stories on them. But now you start going back in time, oh, why there was a need for them to come in colonies, keeping them and showing again. This was showing as victim card, like you are seeing that
Yeah,
तुम लोग को वहाँ पे, that is where the difference has been.
it has. I mean, see, what happened is the lieutenant governor of J&K just said that there is going to be an investment of over $2.5 billion in Kashmir.
Mhm,
That is what is coming to them. That is
mhm,
what is coming to the people of Kashmir.
mhm,
Whatever. So obviously, whatever the sect is there now, they
mhm,
are going to get. It is becoming a land of opportunity.
mhm.
There is so much happening, but the point where our genocide still, I mean, we all know it happened, we all are watching it in the movies, but nothing is going to happen unless it is declared a genocide and we are sent back to our homes. I
To be
really.
honest, like if my future generation gets a palace of gold, and they don't see that how their grandmother was killed or butchered, so what that palace of gold means to them, to be honest. So there
Yeah,
has to be some justice first, like corrective measures, like everyone. And I say the right to justice, you have it, everybody has it. And these are the 500,000 plus people. Like if you just see how many sequels that Vivek and Pallavi can make out of this, like, and we are still seeing when the film got released how there has been reaction, himmat, like somebody can, they're still not able to absorb, and they say, oh, like Muslims were killed, come on, this is only one side story. I said, because one side only was killed, one side only was victim. So like the film has to be, because, and then honorable prime minister did a very, very good response. They said, like if there is something, then you also make it, like who's stopping you, but you don't have
absolutely,
anything. That
absolutely.
is what I think. And the best endorsement that this film has got is from one of the, means leader, I mean, say the world is respecting him right now, honorable Narendra Modi ji. And
Absolutely.
so any message that you want to give through this, and what you want to say, which is very, very important, on the concluding note, I just want to take it from you.
Well, I mean, I think we all now, it was just me who knew and lived this horror, this genocide. But through this movie, Kashmir Files, we can't thank them enough. They basically are themselves Kashmiris now. I am one victim. He is 700 victims himself. He and his wife both, and even one and their son. They so involved in the movie. They themselves are, and they have shown the world. The world is living our experience. So if they really feel the honesty, the truth in this movie, it is high time that we collectively put together a petition and we put it to the government of India, and we need to recognize our uh, unfortunate event as genocide. I think that will be the only beginning of justice. Otherwise, we will always talk about it. But if nobody recognizes it, our own government doesn't recognize it, I don't think we will ever get any justice. That is my message. We really need to collectively request our government to see the facts, to see what happened to us, and please give us a name of what we are: victims of genocide, not migrants. We're not birds, we're not cattle, and we did not move out of our home because of global warming or because of the temperature we didn't like and we wanted to go somewhere else. That didn't happen. Migration is the worst word to put in front of our state subjects or anything we have in ration cards, whatever we used to get in India. The only word is victims of genocide. The only way we can get justice is if that word is in front of us. And that is my request to everyone. To if there is a petition, please sign it and let us put in front of the government. And really, that will be the beginning of justice.
It is not the pain of Sachin. It is not the pain of Ganjus. It is not the pain of Dhars. It is the pain of all Sanatanis that we have to be watchful so it does not happen. So, what do we learn from this? I mean, it is the very clear message. First of all, I'm going to say do watch this film with your future generations. They should know what happened. So they are not brainwashed like the way Krishna was in the dilemma, where to believe in spite of the fact, like, the way it is shown. So they know the real side of it. And so they can counter because they can counter with their arguments like, no, you are giving me a wrong picture. This is the real picture. And then which is like our responsibility to make sure that shoulder to shoulder, and everybody should say, because whenever something happens, you always have that in your Facebook profile, I'm with Perez and I'm with this. So I think that is like, I am right, means I'm with my Kashmiri brothers and sisters, and they need right to justice, because their justice is going to be the justice for all our future generations. With this, I thank you for your time. Really, really appreciate. I know it's pretty late over there, but it was important for us. And I would like and urge to each and everyone whosoever is watching, if you have known someone who is first hand, second hand, or the third hand victim, like they should come out and speak. So we are making this archives as a collection. Vandana Jhingan, thanking
Thank
Sachin,
you very much.
and thank you very much. Really appreciate your
Thanks for
time.
your time.
Thank you.